They have, of course, these are the Florida ones, but several of you have come and asked for this. We can share this original with you in canva.com. It's very simple. It's a free program. And all you have to do is add your own photos and your own seal. And then the inside is all the committees, right? And you can put your own seal up here. So these are very good. They cost 15 cents a piece on Vistaprint if you can get that deal. We would encourage you to do it. But we got a lot of them. We got 1,000 of them in, and it's going to be great for recruiting. So I thought we'd share that with you guys. Let me know if you guys want the original, and we'll be happy to share the link with you.
Yeah.
I yield.
Where did you say that we find that at?
You can message or send an email to us. You can send an email to our secretary. It's flsecretary@floridaassembly.com.
Hold on.
I might also be able to actually drop the Canva link into, excuse me, our workshop channel. So see if you can use that link. And if you can't, then we'll, see if we can customize, sending it to your email. But several have been able to just click on that link and go into their own Canva, free canva.com program and fix it up yourself. So I'll drop it there too.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, I believe that there are some people here that I invited. Maya Sparks. Hi, Maya. Where's Maya? Maya. Sparks, are you still here with us, Maya?
Yes, I am. I made it.
Hi, Maya. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Would you be able to send me your email address? And
Sure.
you can direct message that to me here in this chat.
Okay.
And
Sure.
if you don't mind, put your phone number there so we can help you get started there. And I have some people who were looking to join your assembly.
Oh, wow. That's great news. Thank you.
Jace sent me your information.
Right.
Okay. And Katrina from Idaho, I believe. Katrina, are you here?
I am.
Hi,
You got it
Katrina.
right.
Katrina, we missed you Monday night.
Oh, I didn't know there was. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I wasn't even home. I was hoping to be, but I wasn't.
Well, we will have another meeting this Monday. Will you be able to join, or we will probably have to ask how we're going to bring in new states?
Okay. Yes. And what time is it going to be again? Your time?
It's 8:30 EST.
Okay.
So what Katrina and I are talking about, I'll roll right into that. And I'll let everyone know another reason why we wanted to do this workshop tonight is to incentivize those who are assembling. Can we mute all, please, moderators? Can we mute all? Sorry, I guess I didn't unmute myself there.
Sorry.
No problem. One of the reasons why we wanted to do this particular workshop tonight is for those who are new assembling or just getting started. We of course we want you to assemble naturally. You may hear some conversation out there that, our assemblies aren't assembling properly because it's not forming naturally. Well, we're not here to tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. We just want to show you what we did and offer some guidance in assembling. So we want to make sure that you understand that there are two processes here, right? The first process is you're filing your public notice in operating in the public. And that happens after you cross your 42-day period and you have no rebuttal. That's process number one. Now you're operating in the public. You have formed an assembly. Once you do that, we want to invite you to the national meeting. In the national meeting, we can operate on a federal level. We can do things together, state to state. And we held a first basic meeting this past Monday. So what we're doing is just trying to get to know one another, how we can help one another. And when we go to serve notices of liability, etc., we can all do these things together. We'll have more teeth in the game versus us just trying to do it individually in our own state. So once you become operating in the public, we want to get everybody on board so that we can have the national conversations together. And it's the reason why we wanted to have this meeting tonight, to help clear up any confusion or misunderstandings, or answer any questions anyone what you may have while you're trying to start your assembly. I just want to make it clear that we're not telling you that exactly how to do it. We're just offering you some advice on how we did it, in hopes that that helps you feel more comfortable and confident in forming your assembly. And we also want to be your biggest cheerleaders in helping you recruit people, how to talk to people, those types of things. So we did the first workshop on your public notice, and those 3 documents that go together: your notification of certification, your public notice, and then your announcement. Those 3 things going together. And then the second workshop, which is recruiting, because you can constantly be doing that. And then, of course, now we're going to talk about the documents that are in Assembly in a Box. Just to be clear, we put together Assembly in a Box, again, to offer people some type of structure to step into so that you can form your assembly a little bit more quickly. Just kind of an example. So that's step 1. Now the second step to that is the ratification for funding. The ratification for funding, we have the ratification checklist. I'm sure you've heard this term. And this is the funding from Kim. And they would like you to, excuse me, to provide the documents that are inside Assembly in a Box, so that they know that you're entering into an agreement. You might want to look up what the term ratification means, the definition of ratification. You're entering into agreement, and basically they want to make sure that you are forming an assembly. This is utilizing or setting up the documents as exampled in Assembly in a Box, is you going through the process of setting up your assembly, and that you're going to honorably and honestly assemble and use these funds for the best possible way that you can for the residents of your state. So does anybody have any question and not understanding the differences between the two? If you have any questions, you might want to raise your hand.
We have a question in the chat, so I myself not understanding. It says, when Sunshine, as she's saying, will we be able to get back the replies won't be publicly formed? So I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Maybe you can
What I-
ask.
what I
can you
mean
please?
is-
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
what I mean is that you said you've had the first meeting, and we're at least 50 days away from being a public. Can we get the replays from the first meeting you've already had through, so that we can do it step by step?
Okay, so let me ask, you are in an international company or country to us. And what we will do, we will hold a international meetup next Friday at 1 p.m. for our international friends and family. So I'm making this announcement right now.
Thank you.
Next Friday, 1 p.m. our time, Eastern Standard Time, for any international country, and we will start this process because the United States has to have its own, because it'll have a different name, and then we want to start the process with the international countries. We can answer any questions there because Assembly in a Box will be a little bit different there, right? Some of the forms will be different based on your constitution, etc. And we can start the process there as well because we will want you to come up with your own name as well for your conventions, right? And then at some point, the two can meet, right? The convention of the United States together with the convention of
I'm doing good. Chuck.
I know. Like, tell your knucklehead kid.
We will want the two to meet, the international team with the United States team. So,
But that will be later. First of all, we are doing right now on the internet, just for the international, so we can clarify it with them, and then later on we can meet together.
that's correct. Now, to answer your question about a replay being available, other people have asked, and I just need to ask the permission of those that were in attendance if they don't mind that we share that. And upon their vote, we will share it in the Telegram chat for the workshops so everybody can see what took place.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Charles Spangler, you have the next question.
Yes, you were talking about ratification to get funding. Now, in the last Life Force call, Kim was talking about projects that get funding, which could be an assembly and any other stuff. And from what I've been aware of, and I haven't seen anything to the counter, is that ratification was to get into the Hall of Records to be recognized within the current system as being official. So if that has changed, when did that change? And where is the documentation or the relevant information that stated that that had changed since she spoke on last Sunday?
Well, actually, thank you for bringing that up. You're correct, and I am not correct 100% on what I stated. So let me amend my statement. Yes, the ratification for is to go into the Hall of Records, and it does state right there on the checklist that it is not necessary to go through that process for funding or for funding of projects. So that has not changed. But thank you for pointing that out so that I can clear up where I misspoke. That has not changed at all. You are correct.
But to clarify too further, you have to be ratified in order to fund your government, right? So in order to fund your government, you must be ratified, and that's really what she's speaking to.
Not necessarily to be ratified to fund your government. You're only a government if you're claiming to be a government. An assembly is not a government. An assembly is a group of people that come together and do what's best for the people. The government is a totally different corporation and entity, and the assembly's purpose is to facilitate and do oversight and make sure that everything, whether it's funding or whatever, is being done in the best interest of the people that they're serving.
That's right.
Well, here, let me clarify. This is exactly what was written, and this has not changed in the checklist. These steps are not required for you to receive initial funding or to begin operation. It is expected that these stages will be completed within the first year of your formal public notice of existence to continue to operate and receive funding.
Okay. Thanks for clearing that up.
Funding for state budgets will be project specific until these items have been accomplished and recorded. Further details on project submission requirements will be forthcoming in the coming days or weeks. So that is directly from the original, the assembly ratification requirements checklist for the Hall of Records. Any other questions regarding the two? Yes, Ken, you have your hand up.
Yes, I was on the meeting last Monday, and I said that New Jersey was not operating in the public, and I misspoke. We are operating in the public. We had done our public notice, okay, and it was January 27th that we actually went out and did it in front of the post office. And it had been hanging up for the required time. So we did not get any rebuttals on that. So we are operating in the public.
That's fantastic. And thank you for letting me know, and I will correct the document.
Okay. The other thing is, how do we get on the assembly? I've been trying to get on to the Telegram chat on that. How am I able to do that?
Madam Secretary, would you mind putting?
Yeah, I think I sent her an email today.
Okay, we will check that out for you.
Okay, and the same thing with this. I didn't get anything on it either. Is there a separate chat for this, for the training workshop?
There is, Madam Secretary, would you drop the link?
I just did
Yes.
it. I
Thank
just did
you.
it in a chat.
Oh, you put it in the chat here?
Oh,
Okay.
hold on, that was the wrong one. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to do another one.
You know what, Ken, I do not have your contact information. I only have a contact for Mike.
Okay, I think I gave that to the secretary. I put my email addresses, phone number. What else do you need?
Well, I think Mike can attach you. Mike can
Yeah,
have Mike send me your contact information directly, please.
okay, Mike's here. He's on the site now too.
Okay, yeah, have him send that to me directly, please, so I can make sure that we stay in touch.
Okay,
Mama
Thank you.
Green, North Carolina. Mama Green, you have a question regarding the two differences between operating in the public and the ratification checklist.
Yes, I'm trying to unmute. Thank you. I was trying to unmute. Thank you.
You got it?
Yes, yes. My question on the assembly box, you mentioned for assemblies, does that also pertain to the county level? Do the county level do the same regimen as the assembly level on the state line?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. Thank you. We in Florida, we don't believe that we're going to do county assemblies. We believe we're going to do committees because, but most people, most states want to do their counties. We have chosen to go in a completely different direction, and we can explain that at a different time. But it is up to you and your assembly. It should be left up to the state and how you choose to do that. We're choosing not to do that because we believe that any cabal could go set up their own county assembly, misappropriate funds. Here in Florida, we have an excellent allocation system so long as somebody's monitoring that the funds are allocated properly. Not to mention, if we have schools in multiple counties and roadways, pipelines, waterways, etc., and spread over multiple counties, it will be very difficult to split the bill. So we believe that it might be best to have committees, at least for the first 5 to 10 years, so that we can make sure that, one, we can pull the weeds of all the cabal, because we are pretty heavily infiltrated here in Florida, and two, so that we can figure out how we're going to separate, who does what and where funds get allocated. But if you, yes, if you choose to do county assemblies, then you will need to have them go through the same process as you did, setting up your state assembly, and you can use your own state assembly documents for them in the manner that we are allowing everyone to use the assembly in a box document, but they will have to go through the ratification checklist. And the states will be the one to ratify their own counties. Nyla and John in Maine, and this will be the last question we take before we get started on the documents.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. This is also helpful. We wanted to know, is it best to get a PO box or to get a private, like, UPS type address? And I also wondered if you could just repeat the 3 things we need to do to be able to attend the meeting on Monday.
Okay,
you.
and we will, so the thing for the meeting, I will go over that here when we go through the documents. I'll repeat it again there. The post office box issue. If they typically like you to get a post office box at the post office, because that is the way that they certify the mail, or it's through the United States Postal Service, besides a privatized company such as a like a store mailbox type thing. But I believe that it would be fine if you got one at a private company. I believe that, again, would just have to be something that you and your assembly members, we don't have any guidelines set out for that. I do understand why they said it or why they did it, but we really have no authority to tell you one way or the other. I believe it was just because that was the system and they wanted you to not use a private company to do that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's get started on our documents. I will share my screen. We're going to go document to document, and we will not do a slideshow. So once you see the document, we're going to talk about, I'm going to explain the document, and then we will hold a few questions, just as long as we can stay on topic per document. And we will get through as much as we can get through. First, we are going to go through the assembly in a box documents, because that is you setting up your assembly. And I had it all set up over here. Let me see. Stand by. Oh, okay. Okay, the first document that you will see in the assembly in a box is the onboarding call transcripts. Now, originally, there is an onboarding call that New York did, and they talk about the history. I know you can't really see the words here, and it's just letters. But this is an onboarding call transcript, and we, now that for ratification, they would like you to provide one for your own assembly. once you get going and once you start having members come on, you will need to, one, research your state's history, how it was founded, and then talk about your officers' positions and what their expectation and their duties. And that's what will go in this onboarding call document. And you can see it's quite lengthy. Most people choose to record their own their onboarding call. And let me show you the checklist part of it. There's not really much to show with that one, I'm sorry. Does anybody have any questions, or do they not understand the purpose or how to do their onboarding call?
If you could explain the purpose, that would be lovely.
Well, they want to, I think the purpose would be, the original purpose when we included this into Assembly in a Box was so that you would know why you're assembling and what that meant. It's really that basic.
Thank you.
So does everyone here not understand what an assembly is? Do you understand, does anyone here not understand what you're supposed to be doing or what the purpose is? I think by now, but if you, I think by now
Terry?
we all should, but if you don't, please let us know so that we can clear that up.
Right. You might want to just kind of go through it goes through the structure. It goes through, what your specific state or assembly structure is. It goes through how you make decisions. It goes through the committees. It explains how people can get involved. It's whatever really you want it to be, right? I think several states have explained how they have an ambassador that kind of greets the guests and goes through that process, and it's a different process. That's definitely a type of onboarding. Terry, you had a question?
Yeah, I was muted. Sorry. Thank you for seeing my hand. I think there are different understandings of an assembly, or there's misunderstandings perhaps. I can't help but notice Charles' comment too. Not that he's misunderstanding at all. I don't mean that. I just mean because this is the first time we've all done this, right? I know for myself, I could use some clarification. Are we here to hold the government officials accountable? Are we here to take that over? I think that for myself, at least, maybe some others feel the same way. It might be a good idea to clarify really what are we doing, and what latitude do we have to not have to do all the same thing? What latitude do we have to be different? That's the key, I think, that I'd like to know.
Okay, I can answer that. Actually, I think if you listen to the onboarding call from New York or you read the transcript, and the reason why I put the transcript out there is because I put the transcript in the Assembly in a Box, one, because of the size. The video is too large to put out there. We will do one and we will put it on our YouTube channel. But some people also learn better when they read. It does tell you that, yes, we are here to hold our elected officials accountable. And we do so by way of the Juror Grand Jury or the de jure Grand Jury. And we will have this information on the website. You can look at the website mydejureassembly.com. This is a directory that we have just put together so that you can find your state assembly. Here, I will show it on the screen. And it also talks a little bit about, we've just put this up. It's just very basic right now. It's de jure assemblies, or the address is mydejureassembly.com. And we will have a history tab here and how the de jure grand jury functions and what you can do about holding your elected officials accountable, the process of the full de jure grand jury. I'm not going to go through that right now because that would be the only thing that we talk about. And we can certainly hold a future workshop just talking about all of that. So we just have a very basic website. Get assembled today. As stated by the Constitution, a de jure grand government is the legal legitimate government of a state and what is meant by our First Amendment right to assemble. You'll click learn more and it will go to this de jure history page, which is a template page right now. And we do say throughout history, we have been misled. We have the right to hold our elected officials accountable through assembling and through a de jure grand jury. And what we're doing here is really trying to point people. We will let them know what the history is and the purpose of our assembly. And then you can click on find your state. Another big reason to hold this website just as a directory so that you can find your state. And we can click on the state and it will go to that website. This will prevent multiple assemblies setting up in your state. If you want to have county assemblies, then you at your state assembly should have a place for them. I do not believe that we will be able to do that just yet here at this web page. So as we go in, we will add more websites to the directory. We will also do the same for countries. And right now you can see we haven't even started that. It's just a copy of the states page. And then you will have history. And we have the whole history. We just haven't loaded it in here. You can see it's just a template page from the template. So we'll be adding that in. And then the next tab we're going to call a library. And this will be a library of like flyers we can all share, marketing material, news, I guess, things that we can all share, just be flooding the market with things, things that we can share. How processes, we will put up the Roberts rules if you guys want. This is really, if you guys have suggestions, put them on the de jure assembly workshop. Maybe Madam Vice President, would you put up a post for website suggestions? And then we'll thank you very much. We'll take your suggestions from there. Again, this was just real basic. You can see I'm still in the WordPress part of it that we were just setting up, hopefully to help as a directory.
I have a couple of questions here. One question is the onboard a transcript for educating newcomers?
Yes, absolutely. It gives a little bit of the history. One of the things that you probably hear a little bit of the hesitancy in my voice to talk about the history, because as we ourselves are learning the history, like Terry said, none of us have ever done this before, and we're just all trying to figure it out. So one of the things that we're coming to realize is that all of these processes and all of these rules and all of these other types of assemblies and kind of schools, I guess, for lack of a better term, it's just history, right? We're not here to rewrite history or to recreate history. As Kim says, how did that work out for us so far? Not very good. We need to respect history, of course, but we really should be here to write anew for ourselves. And that's why we don't want to put so much rules or guidelines out there for anyone, because we want you to make it your own. Of course, we want to work together. We do believe that this is the way through the de jure grand jury. It is something that is recognized in the Constitution. So it does give us some good legs to stand on. It gives us a good structure and a good backbone, right? But why do we have to have amendments to the Constitution? It was never written for us. right? Let's preserve those things in history, but let's write something new for us. Those things were written by the elites to keep us, what they considered chattel or slaves, in line, right? We've been misled and lied to for so long. How do we even know what's true? And usually history is written by the victors. So we need something new for ourselves. And it's really the reason why right now this website is called De Jure Assemblies, because we don't even have a name for ourselves. We want to pick something that's unique and original to us. We embrace the fact that we are all unique and original, right? And we have our differences, but at this time, we're going to lay down all of our egos and we're going to come together and we're going to figure out our way, because this is our time, not history's time. Like I said, let's respect. I have all the respect in the world what our founding fathers did and what they went through to get to where we are now. But somebody's been asleep at the wheel for quite a long time. And a lot of infiltration and dark stuff has happened. So let us create something new that's for us. And that's what we want you to do. Those things we can be proud of. I'm not here to tell you how to do it or what to do. I can only tell you what we did and what we are going to do. But I can't tell you what to do and how to do it. So yes, knowing the history of things, knowing the history of the structure of how our founding fathers built up our United States is great. But that doesn't mean we need to repeat it. We can see where maybe they failed or maybe things went wrong. And then we can start over again, or we can start something completely new, or we can build on top of that. But that's going to have to be up to you and your assembly. Debbie from Illinois, you have your hand up.
Yes, I'm sorry. Well, let me make sure I'm okay. I am.
Don't be sorry. No apologies.
I missed the part that you said how Florida was doing it. You were going through the states, and I have a question about the assembly with the 27 versus establish the state with 13. The grand jury is what the other one is. I got that. But the 27 for the assembly.
Okay, so let me reiterate quickly about our state and our counties. We are exploring the idea of not setting up all these county assemblies.
Good.
We believe that it may actually allow a lot of cabal influence and infiltration into those county assemblies because they'll be very easily stuck. We are already infiltrated with cabal-ish, whatever you want to call it. So cabal, elite, globalist elite, Illuminati, Satanists, or whatever their name may be. We'll just use cabal, but it's a lot of different names, right? So a lot of our county, board of county commissioners, etc., they're already doing that, right? Why do we want to go recreate that? In order for us, we believe that in order for us to monitor that for a while until we can clean it up, we don't need to spend the time doing a whole bunch of county assemblies. We're not going to do that. That's one reason, right? Florida has a good allocations program, a way to allocate funds, right? You write a document, you request the fund for this, that, and another thing, wherever the funds may need to go. We in our budgeting, we have probably more auditors in our budgeting than we do other employees. But that's what we feel like our system needs right now, because there's so much money going to, they'll say it's going to one place, but it's really not. Now, not to get off topic, but really quickly, this is just how we feel may be a good way for us for at least the first 5 to 10 years. Then maybe things can go into a county assembly, but we want to do this under a committee type thing. And also because roadways cross over county lines, school districts, all of these things, right? And we don't want to have to we don't want to have to say, okay, well, half of the road is in one county and half of the road is in the other county. So
That
now we
makes
have to
sense.
go figure out the budget for half of a roadway when, oh, now we're going to stop repairing the road here, the bridge here, because it crosses over a county line. And now we have to figure out a budget for that. We're not going to do that. Again, this is our way of figuring things out. And you have to do that for yourself as well.
Okay, and the 27?
Okay, the 27, looking into this in a deep dive into a de jure grand jury history, there are a couple of things that I found. One group says that it's 25 plus 2 alternates, right? Because the barons from the Magna Carta, blah, 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 don't even want to, I'm sorry, I just don't want to entertain that. And again, I'm not being disrespectful, but to what I understand, this was this group's best guess. So what I did was went and looked into, well, what is a grand jury, right? The first thing that I want to do is find out what is the definition of this thing. And then I want to understand how does it work and what's its structure. So from what I understand, the structure to be of a grand jury is 16 to 25.
Okay.
Right?
it.
So the ratification checklist may be, as long as we can get the blessing from those up the ladder, we can maybe reduce that 27 number back down to at least 16. Now for a petite grand jury, of course, is 13. And yes, that has been documented as well. And that's what I also found in the de jure grand jury handbook. Does that help answer your question?
So in the state assembly, how many do you have to have?
A minimum to go through the process?
Yes.
Well, I'm looking at a minimum of 16 at this
Okay, that's what I thought I understood. I just wanted to clarify that. That's all.
But don't quote me on that because I still have to get approval of it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm really
Okay.
trying to get approval of 16 to 25
Okay.
at minimum, but they may say, okay, well, instead of 27, let's do 25, or they may, you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
believe that if you go ahead and file your public notice and you have, let's say you have 10 or 13 when you first file your public notice, you've got to
Right.
go 42 days more at minimum, right?
Right.
So in 42 days, I think you could get 10 more people to sign
Okay.
on. All right,
Krista,
Nyla,
I have a very good question here. I have more than one, but I will just share this one. This is good, but will the assemblies have the power they need to enforce change? Otherwise, we are just another group.
I'm glad you asked. It is a question that.
That's a great question. This is why I
Magdalena, was
picked it
that
out.
was that your question, Magdalena?
It's not my question. Somebody posted here. Let me just post it. No, it's not my question, but it's my question too. Yes.
Yes, in proper formation. Yes, that's what we're here to do. We're here to take action and enforce change, right? We don't. Yeah, absolutely. And the more people that we have coming on, the more power we have. You have the right to do like a notice of liability, and as long as you have enforcement, your constitutional sheriffs, once we get them on the people's side, they have to enforce the changes. They have to. So this is why we continue to assemble. We're just at that beginning of the building stage, right? And let's talk to the sheriffs. Let's talk to the community. Let's get them on board. I'm sure they're people too. I'm sure they're just as tired of all the bull as what we are, right? So as long as you have a constitutional sheriff, for lack of better term, then I do believe that they will be the ones who will be the enforcers of the change that we are writing. Also beneficial that we get ratified so that we can go into the Hall of Records, because once that certificate number comes back to us, then yes, we are in fact the administrators of the government. We're not trying to be the government. We're not trying to take over them. We're just kind of the administrators in a sense of saying, okay, Mr. Governor, if you would like your paycheck, then we're going to need you to come forth and correct, right? We accept your oath, operate under it, kind of thing. I'm going to take one more question before we move on to the next document. How about Julia, California?
Hello, hi. So what you were speaking earlier about the states just maintaining the assembly as the body, the governing body, without doing the separate counties. So then we would have that that ability to do that on our own, and then we can kind of dissect it in the way that makes sense for our state.
Yes, absolutely. No one other state, corporation, organization has the authority or jurisdiction over your state. So it really
Okay.
will be up to you and your residents of that land to figure out what works best for you and your residents.
Okay. And then secondly, really quick, you might have touched on this before. I came in a little bit late, but if there are multiple state assemblies trying to form at the same time, is there clear direction on how we're supposed to meld those together, or if we can, hopefully we can all work to meld together, or is there any guidelines for that?
Well, I'm glad you asked because we are trying to do that, as a matter of fact, in your state, since you brought it up.
Okay, thanks.
We do have a few states with multiple assemblies in them. It is one reason why we set up the directory so that we can prevent that in the future. One of the things that we do as the assembly coordinators is we initiate a meeting with the multiple assemblies in that state, and we want to have a conversation, and hopefully we can put one assembly together because we would really like representatives at the national level, and we would like to put one assembly. We can only put one assembly on the directory for that state. However, we have determined a process. The process will be, now again, these are recommendations because we do not have the authority or jurisdiction to tell you what to do. So what we thought would be best is for Florida to operate as the mediators or moderators for this meeting and just say, hey, how did we get here and how do we fix this? Can we all be one assembly and operate together? If the answer is no, or if those assemblies elect, they may request a depersonalized live grand jury, or I'm sorry, de jure grand jury hearing from the national states that are already in the national committee. It's depersonalized, and we ask them to decide on what is the most fair thing we can do here. Again, they're making only a recommendation. We bring that back to the state assemblies. We bring that back to all three assemblies. We'll hold another meeting. We bring that back to those three assemblies. If they decide that that is not acceptable to them, then we put all of this information together in the ratification recommendation package that will then be turned over to Kim, and she will most likely be making the decision.
Okay, that sounds pretty fair. I think that, I mean, I think that how else are you going to do it?
Well, I mean, we just believe that depersonalizing the situation, and now, I mean, since you've asked live and we're talking about it live, there may not be a way to depersonalize the situations.
Well, no, I mean, I believe that honestly, if we're all working towards the same thing, then we should be focusing on doing the work instead of any sort of, things that aren't important. The most important thing is that if we're here for the right reasons, I believe we can band together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're trying to eliminate the divisiveness, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all unique and original in our own way, and we should embrace those things. But when we're coming here for the survival of humanity, if we can just set those egos aside, we're not telling you to like drop it completely. You need your ego in some capacity, right? It does benefit you. But when here, right, we just need to be able to work together so that we can make sure, humanity survives.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for answering that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, let's go on to the meeting minutes. Funny story. When we first started out our assembly, we were looking at a white sheet of paper. And by the time we came to our third meeting, we didn't know if there was another assembly in our state. We got some very rude comments from another assembly. We just said, okay, let's adopt something and we'll go from there. So we did. And that's how we pretty much got over all of our hurdles. The first thing that we adopted was our meeting minutes. We just happened to look up Robert's rules and we're like, oh, this looks easy. We'll adopt this parliamentary procedure. New York pretty much gave us the basics and off we went. So in the Assembly in a Box meeting minutes, what you're going to find is a document that this was part of our original meeting minutes. And
Lisa, can we enlarge the paper?
Oh, is it too small?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Tell me when.
A little more.
Yes, that's fine.
Good. Thank you.
Everyone can see? Thumbs up. Everyone can see? Oh,
it was requested in the chat.
Okay, yeah. Let me know because I'm not looking over there, and I don't feel like being the talking head today. So
you're doing good.
Okay. So what we did is, we hadn't even created a seal yet. So we just put our meeting minutes up here. So once you create your seal, we just put our seal up, put your seal up somewhere up here in the header. It's very easy. Just double click. Everyone should know how to use Word. But the tag with this note here, this red note with the asterisk, it says, when seeing these 3 stars, it indicates a note or an example for assembly meeting minutes and a basic operation template, making your own assembly public, dealing with your sheriff. To be more in-depth, there will be a more in-depth explanation of this once the New York Assembly's transcription onboarding call is complete. Once official business begins, these notes should be removed. So what we do is we actually share our screen, our meeting minutes, just like I'm doing here. If we're having an official meeting or you've been to one of our meetings, I'm sharing our real live meeting minutes and I am typing them in as we go. This is so we're all doing it together. So all I'm telling you here is that anytime you see this, I'm giving the person who's reading this a note, kind of as like a reminder. And as you get more used to basically this script, the items in blue italic here, this is basically your script of what you're going to say. So the first thing that you want to do is call your meeting to order. This meeting will come to order. And I still leave this on our script, even though we've been saying it every week for quite a few months now. And I do list over here who says what. Now this, where it says repeated 3 times, this is really it should be the Bivens decision. And the Bivens, I believe, is also included in the Assembly in a Box. So this will have to be updated. We do have some optional openings. You could have somebody play the ukulele, say a prayer, do a Pledge of Allegiance. They're called opening ceremonies. You don't even have to do that if that's what your assembly elects to do or not. So as we're going through this, I'm just giving you some notes, kind of as a guideline, and then once you're all done, or once you're used to operating this way, all you have to do is delete this. You can continue using this. Does anyone have any question on how to use the meeting notes? I'm sorry, the meeting minutes. Or if they don't understand this part of the meeting minutes, that is in Assembly in a Box. Yes, Charles, you have your hand up?
Yes, you made a comment previously. It's not about the meeting minutes, but you made a comment previously that on those above you that you make recommendations to. So who is that group that's above you that you make recommendations to?
That would be the GIA, Hank, Kim, Martin.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Did I say that incorrectly?
No, you clarified it.
Well, it's
I
their
just saying thank you.
document. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's their document, and I want to make sure that you know, I'm not changing their document outside of their will. You know, I just want to.
Well, their document is something that they derived, and it's not hard and fast. So every assembly that forms is goes about their own business and do what's best for the people that, for the people that they represent. So they will be able to change those documents as they wish, and it doesn't matter whether they like it or not, because it's up to the people in the assembly, and they're just deciding on ratification to go in the Hall of Records.
That's correct.
Correct?
That would be that's the document that I would get their approval on changing. Yeah. Not the Assembly in the Box documents. Yeah, these documents are for you to change. Again, it's just an example of like what we used. If you want your meeting minutes to say something completely different, you don't want to call it roll call, you don't want to do opening ceremonies, you don't have to do any of that. But what you do have to provide is a copy of what you do create as part of your ratification packet.
And is that the checklist that you're talking about being the ratification procedure, or
Yes.
is there something else?
The ratification checklist is what I'm speaking of.
Okay.
Diana Olson.
Unmute. I apologize. I didn't mean to put my hand up.
No problem. It's nice to see you. Thank you for coming. Marie Alexis.
Hi, Christy. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, Marie.
Hello. I'm going to take you way back. I just had the opportunity to talk, but at the onboarding call, I noticed that the transcript is incomplete. I'm sure somebody ran out of time. I think that actually said it on there. Is there a way to find that recording so that maybe I could listen to it and finish it? I was so into it, and then was like, what's the rest of it? So I kind of searched as much as I could to find that recording, and I would love to be able to finish that.
Are you volunteering to finish the transcript for me?
Yes, if you can somehow hook me up with a recording.
I have it. Of course I have it.
I'll finish it for you.
Well,
I have this feeling I just bit off way more than, but yes, I wanted to finish it.
So here's the thing. I have put this recording through 3 transcript auto transcribers, and it will not transcribe properly. I had to do it myself, old school style.
I figured I wasn't.
Listen, stop. What did she say? Listen, stop. But I also wanted to be very true to the speakers, and tried not to surmise it. Yes, it did. I did run out of time, And I did state that you could listen to it and finish it if somebody was willing to finish it. So thank you for
Okay.
and I will be more
You're
than happy to
welcome.
send that your way. I do have
Okay.
the original video, and I can put it up there. And
Okay.
if anybody has their own onboarding call they would like to send our way or put in the Telegram chat for anyone else to listen to, we'd love to hear them, because it is part of the requirements, either turn in a video or a written transcript of your onboarding call.
Right,
Okay,
I was going
great.
to add to that too. Everybody has their own way of doing it. I know that we have been on several other assembly meetings, and gosh, you guys have really done a great job in your own states. And I think it's worthy that we take the time to share that, especially in these meetings. And if you have ideas and ways that you do it, that you want to put out there, this is a great opportunity to do it. This is a workshop. You know, we're all here to learn and all here to kind of educate each other and inspire each other. And what are you guys doing in, you know, your state? What are you doing to do this particular, you know, the meeting minutes? What are you doing for your onboarding? We want to learn what you're doing too. So feel free to share that, especially in the chat, in the workshop chat. We want to hear it, or bring it to the meeting and let us know. And we'll put you onto the agenda, and you can share how you guys do it your way. We'd love to hear it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, I think I have this chat. I'll get it for you. I won't forget you. AJ
Yeah.
King. Angela, you have a question? AJ King?
Hi, everybody. No, I was just going to share our last meeting minutes to give everybody what we're doing, so they could see something that's actually in working process. If you'd like, it's up to you. I won't go into detail, but I could just cover the bullet points. I yield.
Please, if you have a copy of that, please share that in the De jure assembly workshop. Madam Vice President, would you set up a thread or a post there for meeting minute examples? So wait until we get a meeting minute example post going, and then could you drop it in there, Angela?
I'd be happy to. I could just share it now if you wanted, but we can move on. Whatever you need to do. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the next item in the box. Debbie from Illinois, you have a question on the meeting minutes?
Yes, it's really quick. So the meeting minutes transcript has to go in with the ratification and all the other stuff.
Yes, every item in the assembly in a box needs to be included in the ratification checklist. And that is going to be one of the changes on the ratification checklist. I know they were asking for it, so it'll be part of that as well. I mean, it'll be part of the revision to the checklist. So the next item is a committee report to the weekly public meeting. And again, depending on how you guys run your meeting, we hear from all of our committees, the officers give their reports, and when we do, we just simply type out, you know, what we're reporting on. This was my report. Seal revisions, exploring Boulder font, lighter outer seal, number of stars after discussion on it. Website underway. This is when we were first starting out. These were all the things these were all the ongoings of what we were doing that week, or what I was doing that week. Just a real simple document. I just copied from our letterhead and put our seal on it. Again, there's no hard and fast rule. It's just a document. If you choose to do things handwritten, text it over, but we do need a committee report to the weekly public meeting included in your ratification checklist. That one's pretty simple, right? Any questions on that? Everyone's got that? Mike, you have a question, sir?
Has to unmute.
Mike, if you're speaking, you have to unmute.
Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, my question is, we submitted an initial list of items based on the ratification checklist, and are in the process of potentially revising what we submitted. For instance, based on tonight's comments, it sounds like a recording of the meeting would be more appropriate. And the alignment of the discussion in terms of each of the officers report in our meeting, but it sounds as if you have a little bit more of a focus on the committee's reporting. So are you, how is the process of revising the submission for ratification? Is this, could we submit another email with the same subject, and would that be sort of accepted and collected on your end?
What state are you
New Jersey.
from? Okay, if you have already submitted your ratification documents, there's no need for you to recreate or resubmit or update anything at this time. That would be considered post de facto, I believe. But if you would like to update something on your own accord, you may do so. It is not required. If you've submitted something like your transcripts in, your onboarding is in a transcript format, you don't need to record a video. That's not necessary. If your officers are the only thing that report out versus your committees, because you haven't started your committees yet, there is no need to make a new report just for the committees. This is only to show you what we did and how we did it. If you have already submitted your ratification packet, you do not need to submit a new one at this time. Does that help answer your question?
It does answer the question. At the time of submission, we had 15, I guess, autographed members. And I believe we may have more coming in. So in order to I guess, notify the GIA of the increased number in terms of membership, I would suspect that we would do that.
You would notify us at assemblyinfo@globalintelligenceagency.agency.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that will come directly to us, and just let us know in the subject line that this is New Jersey, and tell us that it's a membership update or something.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Palouse, Netherlands. You have a question?
Yes, Christy. We had to have like some meetings now in the Netherlands as well, and we had with making the minutes. We have a question about the names of the attendees. I saw in the notes you provided that you just only add the functions, but we just also made like a screen recording, and then you see also the names on Zoom. Is it okay to also just add the names of the attendees that are helping? Making everything done, to just add it in the notes that they were there, and is that also good?
Absolutely. whatever makes you and your attendees most comfortable is what you should do. We have a comment that all officers all officers and members are to be referred to in the third person, as they are allowed to remain anonymous if they choose to do so. And then, of course, you're right, we are making a screen recording, but most of the time you will see that it says FL Secretary, FL President, FL Vice President, that kind of thing. So that, again, is their choice, whether or not they would like to keep their anonymity, or if they would like to have their name shown. You can also do first name if you like, first name only, or officer's name, but every assembly has to decide on their own. One of the, and I'll keep reiterating this, just for an example, or one of the first things that you should be voting on is how to vote. Are you going to, is the majority vote going to win, or is the 2/3 vote going to win? And then the next thing you should ask is, does everyone here want to keep their anonymity, or would you want to only use first names and then take a vote on that? So allow your assembly members, give them their choice, give them their voice, and vote on even the small things like, anonymity. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. AJ King from Oklahoma. I really like the colors on your steel, Angela.
Thank you. They come across a little dark, but anyway, my question is that I know that our minutes, although we don't have any committee members yet, and we're trying to grow the basis of our just regular officers in our assembly, we do record in our minutes the treasurer's report, of how much money we have, things like that. What I'm asking is that this roster that you've got here, similar to like the officers roster and who's doing what that we need to turn in, I wanted to know, do we need to have a separate treasurer's report, like, on a separate piece of paper that they turn in? Because right now we're down, we've got 2 people running five different officers positions.
Yeah,
okay. You're right. Yeah, and
I understand. We were there at one time too.
Yeah, so I wanted to know, do they require a separate report, or will the minutes suffice regarding the treasury, our treasury, not the funding part, but the money that we're getting in from those who are contributing? And that's what I was asking.
I think that if that is how your assembly has chosen to record its donations or treasury, then that is what you should do. I do not believe that they're requesting a separate item. Is that something separate in the assembly in a box here? And if it is, hold on, let me look because I understand now. I think your question, let me look. Oh yeah, because the next one is charitable gifts and donations tracker. Now this is what we did, and I would, for you, because you are tracking your charitable gifts and donations on your meeting minutes, I would just say maybe a line item there, a response. Please see meeting minutes as our charitable donations and gifts are tracked there, and maybe just attach that again to your meeting minutes. I mean, to the ratification checklist.
Perfect. That's what I wanted to know, because I wanted to know if we needed to have, because we didn't have any money when we began, but we do now. And so we could include that when we send in our ratification checklist, with maybe a letterhead of one of the reports, right? And that way it's just a couple of pages, but it reflects that it's in the minutes and it's a report from our treasurer.
Yes.
So I just,
Again,
okay, great.
yeah,
Thank you.
yes, that works fine. Because that's the way you're doing it. You understand? It's really just about however you're doing that part of it is sufficient. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the clarification. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Mama Green?
Yes, thank you, AJ, because you're bringing up a good point here when we're talking about officers. Because you said many people are sharing the same hat. Are there requirements on how many officers should be on the assembly to be ratified? Do you need a president, vice president, secretary, and all, anything like that? Are there requirements for this?
No. As a matter of fact, when we were going through our process, I wore the hat of 3 officers and the hat of several committee positions. And all of our positions, our officers' positions, are volunteer positions. And we chose as one election. We didn't have we didn't have like an election or runoff. We just had one meeting and we said all those currently sitting as officers will be elected for their first term. All those in favor say aye. There were no oppositions. And I believe even at that time I was 2 officers until someone stepped in to volunteer for that position so that I could just be 1 officer. So there was no requirement. There is no requirement. You need to decide how that's just going to work in your house or your assembly. There's no rule stating that you must be this before that. There's no if this then that rule. It is, how do you function? Just tell us how you function. How are you operating? Show us what your meeting minutes look like so that we can verify that you have in fact been having meetings. Give us an officers list so that we can see that you are in fact having officers. And there was a time when my name was listed in 2 or 3 different positions. There was a time when our vice president was wearing 2 hats until someone felt comfortable enough to come in and volunteer for that position. And then of course things get moved around. But we had already turned in our paperwork. So that was how it got ratified. Now, knowing some of the things that we know now, we will go back and we will amend such things as like our notification of certification, our officers list, those types of things, because truly no one assembly has gotten their ratification certificate yet. So if you've already turned in your packet and you would like to, at your own choosing, your own free will, update one of your documents or your entire package, you may choose to do so. Does that help answer your question, Mama Green?
It does. And you did say you were ratified, but you did not get a certificate yet. Is that correct?
Well, let me explain the difference between ratification recommendation and ratified, right? Ratified being in the past tense. So a lot of people believe that once you turn in your packet and it gets approved, you're automatically ratified. Like the course is complete and you're done. That is not necessarily true, because one of the things that we do have to update in the ratification checklist is your budget. So all we are doing as assembly coordinators, all we are doing is making a recommendation. That's all Martin ever did. He made a recommendation so that he could give that to Kim. And then once she actually types the number in, enters the information into the Hall of Records, then it gives you a certificate number. And then you have been ratified. And to my knowledge, no one, including ourselves, have not received our certificate number. We do have our recommendation for ratification, and so do many other states, but no one has been given back that certificate number yet. So you still have time to update your paperwork if you would like to. Does that help answer your question, Mama Green?
Yes, and thank you.
You're welcome. Susanna, you have a question?
Yes, Christy, hi.
Hi, Susanna.
You must be tired. I want to give a big shout out to Christy. Thank you so much for helping us with our website.
You're
It's
welcome.
up
You're
and
welcome.
running. So thank you so much. A couple of questions on this. These forms that you're showing and that we keep referring to, the assembly in the box, these are the new forms, right? The updated ones you're talking about?
Yeah, well, they're also the old forms. They really haven't, these forms have not, and they will not go through any updates because they're just blank basic forms.
Right.
We don't even use this process anymore. We've built our own server and use our own server platform. So we don't even use this anymore, but we didn't want to change
It's
it
a good guideline, though.
yeah, it's just a guideline. If you have a completely different system, even if you handwrite stuff, just take a picture with your phone and send that. We just want to show you like what we did when we were first starting out. That's all this is.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. The assembly in the box, that the last thing I saw was that it's like coming soon, right? So we haven't seen 2.0 version, right?
No, we have not released it yet because we are still working out some new
Okay,
guidelines.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm like looking for it everywhere. I'm thinking that it was released and I'm missing it. Okay.
No, it's not you, it's us. We'll eat the crow on that all day long. It really is us because every time we go back through, we want to make things very clear so that it helps people go through it very confidently and a little bit more quickly.
I think you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
I have one more question in reference to the minutes. When we're referring to those minutes, which minutes are we referring to that we need to send then? The ones from the very first meeting or the first meeting after the 45 days are up or after the notice is up? Which meetings are we referring to?
Okay. So you have to actually include 2 different sets of meeting minutes. In your notification of certification, it does ask for your very first set of meeting minutes.
Okay.
So in the notification of certification, and I'm going to bring the new one up and show you guys. But in that document, it does request your very first meeting minutes. Now, as you're about to turn in your ratification checklist, it once again asks for your most current meeting minutes.
Okay.
So you're going to, this way it tells us how long have you been assembled and how long have you been meeting. That's why you see a number on ours, and we always say this is meeting number 25. Technically, it's number 27 because we had 2 meetings before that, but we do post how many times we have met, and it just kind of is validation that you are in fact holding weekly meetings. And don't be surprised if we pop in on one of your weekly meetings. Just to see,
You're always
are they really
welcome.
meeting?
Always welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank
That
you. You're
clarifies a
welcome.
lot.
Yeah, I'm going to
Thanks.
come just to listen to Pastor. I love his voice.
I know, deep.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next document is just a project management committee task list. As we started setting up our committees, it was one of the first things that we did just to have the conversation. And we used the committees, as you saw in our brochure, as one of our best recruiting tools. So we just started having conversations. What are we going to talk about? And again, if you haven't set up your committees yet, then all you need to do, just instead of you trying to create something new for yourself, you can turn this in and just put your seal on it. It's that easy. A lot of assemblies haven't even started their committees yet, but we did right out the gate. We open it all up and we'll drown in our work, I guess. And we started having the conversations because it did help us figure out all the steps that we wanted to take forward. But again, this is just a blank document, very basic. And feel free to make it your own. We just wanted to provide the original Excel spreadsheet. If you're great at Excel, first, I'd love to know. And private message me. We have some projects for you. But you're more than welcome to change this. This, again, will have to be attached in your assembly in a box. Okay, next item is the charitable gifts and donations tracker. Oh, Yasmin, that looks different than what I've seen before. I don't think I've ever seen this.
Sorry.
No, I think it's pretty. This isn't my department anymore, so I don't see it. So it's, again, just another Excel spreadsheet. You can start typing in your donation. You got a donation of 20 bucks. Donation number 1 if you want, or you can change, I believe you can change this. You can change that. From who. You can just double click on these and change them. If anybody here would like to maybe have a workshop on how to use Excel or how to use Word or how to build a website, we can have those types of workshops as well. So all you have to do is if you haven't started taking donation, or as Angela from Oklahoma said, they actually track their donations right in their meeting minutes. Feel free to make it your own. Any questions on charitable gifts and donations tracker? Pretty simple, right? A lot of these pretty much are. I think the rest of them coming here are. Okay, here comes the member form. And again, the member form, we have ours as a fillable PDF because we chose to do it this way so that people would have to download the form and send it back to us from their email address. That way we can verify it as a live person. A lot of people choose to have a fillable form on their website. That's part of their website. You may, of course, choose to elect that as well. If you do, just take a screenshot of your website and put that as part of the ratification checklist. So this form is included in a PDF format. You can see here. It is a PDF, Adobe PDF. And if you do not have a way to alter this, you can also let us know. Maybe we can help you with that. But all of these are cells. I'm not going to get into that. We can hold a whole workshop on it if you like. And we can edit and help you edit your PDF form. But this is an editable PDF. They can download it, fill it out, and email it back to you. And we just ask for first name, last name, a nickname in case, if they want to be on Telegram. Do they want to opt into Telegram? All of these basic questions came from the original New York onboarding questionnaire. We ask what committees they're interested in. We also ask how did they hear about the assembly, and if they are a member of other types of assemblies. And we do ask for a copy of their driver's license, but we will, I believe, also accept if they hold up their driver's license at a public meeting. And that's basically it. Any questions on the member form? And you will need to provide a blank member form into your, you don't need all of your member forms, you just need one blank member form for your ratification packet.
I think there's some assemblies too who have actually put it on their website, and they want people to register on their website, and then they can get in to register as well. So I'd love to see how other people are doing it and how it works for you.
Yes, that's also fine. And if they do that, yeah, please let us know. All they have to do is put in, a screenshot of their how they're doing it on their website and send that in as part of the ratification package. But it just needs to be blank. It does not need to be filled out. We don't really want any of your members. We don't want to see your members' names and addresses and phone numbers and all of that. Yes, Jordan, Bradley, you have a question? Jordan, you'll have to unmute.
Hey, Crystal. So I liked your idea. I just had a question how you guys do your vetting process. So we're kind of in the middle of deciding whether or not we do want our member forms on the website, or if we want to have them request to be a member via email, but that creates a little bit more paperwork for the secretaries, and they have a ton of stuff that they're working on, and we're trying to keep it to a minimum, but yet trying to be, fair and but also protect ourselves too. To what extent does your vetting process, how does that work for you guys?
Thank you for asking. This is one of the reasons why we chose to use this particular format. We want to first see that you have a good email. It's not spam. It's not junk mail. We send it to a Sergeant of Arms, and we have a 3 red flag system. If all 3 of the vetters put up a red flag, then we might keep that person in the public meeting for a longer time. Or they'll send it to me, and then I'll have a phone conversation with that person. We'll get them on a public meeting, and we'll have conversation with them. And we've done this because at one time we were all heavily infiltrated. And some people, unfortunately, you do have to say, I'm sorry, but you just cannot be a member at this time. It is part of the things that we've written in our bylaws, so that we can maybe revisit that in a year. Come back in a year, maybe you'll be different, right? Or maybe things will have changed here. But the vetting system is by our Sergeant of Arms, and I'm a 4th if I have to come in, or we'll ask the Vice President to come in as a 4th or a 5th. And we just basically have the human interaction. We get on the phone and we talk to them a couple of times, or we get them, we strike up the conversation in our live public meeting. We put them in our public friends chat as a way to get to know them and for them to get to know us. Now, we do plan to have our Sergeant of Arms do a live workshop on that one specific subject.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I would love, I would definitely be interested in that. That's
okay. And at any time you would like them to come to one of your meetings to help you out, or if you would like to, I'll maybe just set up a meeting to have the conversation. I'm sure that they would be more than happy to oblige.
Thanks, Crystal. And if I can just ask one more quick question. If someone contests that, have you had that issue yet where someone's like, well, you have no reason, or, has anyone gotten testy or, disputed that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, you better believe they have. But the end result is that we don't feel that you're in alignment here. Let's revisit your membership in the future in 6 months or a year. Okay. We have to ultimately, it is an unfortunate thing. It's an uncomfortable thing, right?
Right.
But if you're going to be, in assembly trying to, for the betterment of humanity, you want to make sure that everyone is in alignment. You can we've even thought about going through a setting up an altruism course, and we may still be writing that for people to make sure that they are in alignment with the mission. I mean, we can all feel that. We all have our
Right.
own heart frequency. We can feel the energy of people. You know, you can also feel if people are just sitting on the sidelines trying to be a pain in the ass. So we don't want that either. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of work to do here, and we need all hands on deck. So, you know, we have the conversation. We've had people who were tough, and they would come up with their own ideas where they were just wanting to talk but never helping. We're like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. Maybe go ahead and do that. And they're like, no, I can't do that. Okay, well, then why are you just sitting here being a pain in the ass? I mean,
We call them idea fairies.
right. So, you know,
A lot of ours were not actual residents in our state.
That
Oh,
was the
wow.
biggest one.
They
Yeah.
were calling behind the scenes. They were calling each one of us behind the scenes to try and feel out, you know, how we would, somebody told me that you're not going to approve any projects. And so I'm like, no, that's not how this works. And pretty soon you start to realize the game.
Yeah.
And then you realize that that's why we had to put in, you know, you're a resident of Florida, then you have your hearts in the resident here in the state here. You understand, just like your states are unique, you know,
Right.
Florida's unique too.
Yeah, I like your
And-
idea of holding up the driver's licenses in a
Right.
public meeting. I really like that. I hadn't thought of that. So we were debating leaving that requirement on the bottom of the membership form, but everyone has a problem with it, and rightfully so. I mean, who wants to have a copy of their driver's license going anywhere? But I really like that idea.
Yeah.
Well, keep
It was
in
humorous.
mind-
It was humorous.
Keep in mind that the item number 1 in the checklist, I believe, is that, or maybe it's item number 2 on the ratification checklist, that states that it is against the law for the 2 main officers and the secretary, those 3 officers, to give out members public or private information without their notice or their request, right?
Right.
This
Right.
is the information that they're talking about. Their signatures, you know, their real identities, those types of things.
Right.
It's actually unlawful. So many people who want to sign up as memberships for things, they always have to give a copy of their driver's license. You know, if people are serious and wanting to help out the cause and the mission, I don't think that they would have a problem at all. And we've had new members who have done so. Now, we do also state that if you are a friend or family member of a current core member, our core member would be our original, 15 people who started with us, that they don't have to turn in their driver's license. We have other members vouch for other members, and we think that that's just fine as well. But that's what we do in our assembly. Everyone has to figure out what works best for them and theirs. We also do ask them to come to 4 public meetings before they go into a committee meeting. But the initial stop is that 3 red flag system by our vetting team. And if there's 2 of them with the red flag, there's no need for the 3rd to vet them. If there's 3 with the red flag, then there's no need for me to even entertain it. I leave that up to them. It's out of my hands because I'm too nice. I don't want everybody come to the meeting.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, maybe we can find something for her to do.
So, okay, so I had another question. So when you first bring people in, do you have, so I know we have our weekly assembly meetings, but then we also have our Telegram chats. So the people, if they're like in a waiting period, or if they're brand new members, do you only have them go into your public meetings for, say, that was like your grace period, like three meetings, and then bring them on to your Telegram chat? Or when they become members, do they automatically do both? Do you have a waiting period for either or?
Well, we say that they need to come to 4 public meetings, and by the time that whether they turn in their member form at their first public meeting or their 4th public meeting, we don't let them into any of the other Telegram chats or committee Telegram chats until they've surpassed that fourth meeting, period. Doesn't matter if they've turned in their member form or not. And if it's still questionable, we may make them wait longer. And again, we may be in the future doing some altruism course where they, you know, it's not uncommon for an employee to go through a 30 or 60 and 90-day trial period before they start working on a committee. And the longer we go on, the stronger we get as our bond grows for our own assembly. We will make it more stringent for members to come on. We want them to be aligned with the mission. We will have high expectations of them because we've set the bar high for ourselves. So, I mean, it's obviously it's not going to be, you know, impossible or anything, but we just want to make sure that, you know, we have our state's residents, land and environment and all of its animals' best interests at heart. And we need to make sure that we're finding people who are aligned in the same, with all the same characteristics as that. So if it's a little bit more stringent, or they have to take an altruism test, or they have to go through a 30-day waiting period or a 4-meeting waiting period, I know that I would do it because these things are that important to me. And I would believe that somebody else would do the same if it were that important to them.
Yeah, I agree. And not to monopolize all the questions, sorry, but earlier you mentioned, let's see, so the states would ratify the counties. Now, would that be, so I know you guys aren't doing the county assemblies, but would the states then have the approval for the county committees, if that's what you're calling them? And at what point do the states obtain that authority? So do the states need to get ratified before we can ratify the counties or committees, or however we choose to structure that? Or as an assembly, you know, operating in the public currently, do we have that authority to ratify the counties? Sorry if that question was really confusing.
You as a state assembly, I think I might be able to help you out with your question there. You as a state assembly, you're already a state assembly, right?
Right. We're operating in the public, yeah.
Okay, so I know that we've heard from other assemblies where we think, oh, well, the counties we were first territories, and then you have to go back and you have to establish your original counties before you can become a state assembly. That's the way they did it back then. Yes, that is all 100% true, factual history. But we are already established. We already have boundaries, etc. Right? We're already all established. I don't believe there's any uncharted territory to establish at this point in time in our current modern day. Therefore, it would be impossible for us to go back to our original counties and establish those. Have you actually looked at what that looks like on a map for Michigan?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Does it look anything like what it looks like today?
No, we have.
Okay.
No.
I would assume that no state or country does, because so many things have changed. And no disrespect to those who have found this information and who brought this information forward in the past. But again, we've come to know at this point is that is history, right? So we just need to probably start with the states and kind of work our way backwards if we want to. We're choosing not to do that. So if you already have a state assembly, and I know you do there in Michigan, if you choose to operate county by county, then those counties do need to come back up through the state, because that's where funding will go funnel through. It'll go to your state first, then it will funnel back down to the counties anyway, right?
Okay.
Since that's a chain of operation with funding, we're not gonna, we will not do it in the we in Florida will not do that in the capacity by way of what is called an assembly. We feel that it may be better to do it by way of a committee for schools, committee for throughout the whole state, committee for all the state operations for water. Maybe one will break off and it'll just be for this county or this section of the state kind of thing. We'll figure that out. We're just exploring the idea. We haven't even figured out all the details yet, but we feel like a committee, a trickle down, a tiered down from the state level would be a better way, and also reduce cabalism, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus,
We've kind of bounced around the idea too of having like county clusters until each county can, form their own committees or whatever we're gonna call them. But yeah, anyway, so we've been playing with having clusters as far as grouping like 5 counties together, because our counties are all pretty small here in Michigan, but we have like 83, so it gets a little tedious.
Yeah, I would love to hear what works for other states. That's
Yes.
what we're all here to figure out. What's going to work for your state. Maybe we
Yeah.
adopt that as well. Maybe there's something there that we haven't even thought about. It's a pretty massive project once you think about it. But yes, if you do ratify anything, whether it's a committee or a county, it will have to come back up through the states.
Okay.
Versus which we assume that the states should come first in this capacity. We're not here to reenact or reinvent or rewrite history. We're here to write something completely new, something that works for us. Let's see, Justine, I know you guys have been waiting a while. Justine, thank you. You have a question? If you're speaking, you have to unmute, Justine. I hope she didn't leave.
Hi there. Sorry about that.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
No problem.
Thanks again for another wonderful workshop. I just wanted to say that, well, I'm not going to go into it, don't worry, but we had pretty bad infiltration up here. And I would be curious about, any bylaws that you would want to speak to around that, Christy, if you felt comfortable about how that can help you review members of concern or, take action if needed.
Well, I think we will do that during that type of workshop. And maybe, I know you have a grievance process and pardon me, interturtle. Oh my gosh. Let's all have a stretch and a laugh, right? I know that you have an internal grievance process. Maybe I put you with our Sergeant of Arms so that you can actually share that during that process, that workshop. If anyone else has a grievance process they would like to share, maybe it's something you all as a committee work on together, as a vetting process, an internal grievance process, and all of those things can be done in one workshop perhaps, or we can split it into 2. But I don't want to delve into it tonight because I just want to try to get through the documents so that those who are new at assembling can go ahead and get their paperwork going.
Yes, ma'am. Another day, absolutely. I'm happy to help with that. And I sent a proposal on topics that I could, share if it's helpful.
It is helpful, and thank you. And that is you're actually the reason why we said, you know what, let's let everybody, if you guys have a topic that you want to talk about and you want to do a workshop, let us know. And the floor is yours.
That's right. I move that she lead the group on that.
What's that?
Good luck for thank you for volunteering and leading that.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, as long as it's in line with obviously us assembling and things like that, we're here to recognize and represent and cheer on everyone that's working hard to get assembled. I mean, we were just asked to help coordinate and get it going.
And we're really
Thank
good at
you.
delegating.
Yes. And getting stuff done quickly.
Crystal, you're doing a great job.
Thank
So,
you.
You are.
Debbie from Illinois, you have a question on the member form. Anyone who doesn't have a question on the member form, maybe we could wait to the end if we have time on extra questions. Debbie, you have Debbie from Illinois.
Yes. Yes, I do have a question about the membership form. So we didn't do it the way you did for letting people come in for membership, but we do have a venting issue. Do you recommend everybody being on the camera? I do like the idea with the license, show your license. I think that's fantastic. But sometimes it could be suspicious of someone that always has their camera off and coming in, like not at the beginning, just like you know, later on, like half an hour into it, or always hiding themselves. So that I get nervous with that.
Oh, I'm going to let Magdalena answer this question. Magdalena, do you want to answer this question?
Oh
Let
yeah,
them know
what we like to do most of the time is when we have somebody, we ask them to give their appropriate name. And if somebody is joining with a telephone and we just see the telephone number, we also ask to add the name.
We get the name, but it's just never a photograph of them.
Well, you know, I would say this: if the person is attending,
and we don't have a good
meetings
feeling about it.
Yeah, if the person is attending 4 meetings, after 4 meetings, I would say start to ask some question from them.
Okay. Okay. So then we should notify them and have a meeting type and give
Well,
them.
ask them to introduce themselves a little.
Right. And fill out the member form, which it requires them to show their license.
Yeah.
Okay.
A copy of it. Yeah.
Because what
That's
we
why
do,
the member form is helpful.
what we ask people, they can attend 4 meetings, and after that, we are asking them to fill out the membership form.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. I yield.
Most people who are really anxious to get involved start filling out that member form the first meeting. And, you know, they're anxious to get into the other Telegram groups, groups. We keep those private for a very good reason, but we might vote them in early because we know that they're a friend of someone and they vouch for them. But, you know, it doesn't hurt to pick up the phone and call and speak with someone and get a feel for them too.
So you vote the members in.
What we also do, Debbie, is that when we have a new people, we ask them, are they from Florida or are they out of the state?
Okay.
You know, those
But
are
you
the
vote
little
them
things.
in? Do you vote them in then?
No.
Okay,
No,
I heard vote.
we don't vote them. We
No.
allow them to go into a Telegram chat, a private Telegram chat
okay.
early. That's it. Now,
okay.
Here's a simple way to get people to show themselves. Do you mind to turn your camera on?
I did that last week.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? We need to
But
verify
then
that you're
they came
human.
up with, well, you know, I took something off. I did this. I did that. I'm just having problems. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Too many excuses. What does that
Right.
tell you?
That's what I
already a
mean.
red flag.
We're not feeling good about it.
Okay. Well, use your red flag system. Initiate a red flag system if that helps you.
Okay.
We have one. We didn't have a choice but to have one. Just initiate a red flag system. What works for you? You know, we need you to turn your camera on. If you don't want to send a copy of your driver's license, turn your camera on, hold up your driver's license so that we can see that that is you, your real person. Strike up a conversation with them. So how did you hear about us? What part of Florida do you live in? Oh yeah, I mean, we can have a conversation about that.
Okay.
What are your concerns? Why did you come to assembly?
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's the one we have an issue with, and we're just not sure what to do with the situation. We just don't feel comfortable. They have been in the meetings for several times, probably, I don't know, since we almost started, but we just don't feel comfortable.
Have you tried, if you have members like that, and I know the member you're talking about, because we've had them too, and they are no longer members, but have you tried to have a one-on-one Zoom with them? Have you tried
No,
to
but
have,
I will do that because that's why I'm on this call right now. Because I brought it up at the last meeting, you know, how come the camera isn't, can you show yourself? We had new people come in, they showed themselves, but this person did not. Came up with a bunch of excuses.
okay, well then they're not really interested in being a member, and you can write these things into your bylaws.
Okay, all right.
Nyla
Thank
and
you.
John in Maine, you're welcome. Hi, John.
Hi, yeah, thanks. I just wanted, I feel like you just actually covered it, but I heard Debbie say a while ago that they didn't feel comfortable with them, and I just wanted to, we're new, so we don't have other members. It's just my wife and I at the moment, but I'm really really interested in the vetting process and in the vetting call that might happen, because I feel like our internal read on people is so valid and so important, and so often we like try to include people, you know, when they shouldn't be included. Like, so I feel like having a no, even without a reason, is valid, and then you can come up with a reason or process. But I just wanted to speak to that. I really appreciate the meeting. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, you're welcome. I think one of the things that we like to do, and usually I am on camera. I just honestly am being honest, 100%. Magdalena says it's the way the planets are aligned. I just didn't feel like it today. I'm like, I'm done being the talking head for this week. I've done it enough. I am not going to do it today. You can't force me. No, I'm putting my foot down. So I just did not feel like doing it today. So I apologize for that. But typically, you know, we're all on Zoom, and we can kind of detect each other's energies, right? Pretty much, I think,
Yes.
even when you're looking at someone and how they're talking and carrying their body language. So it is important for you to see a new member, I think, just my personal opinion, but that's what we do in Florida.
I would also like to add that what happens most of the time, you know, when we have a new member or a new person, just go there, and you know, a couple of us are picking up some vibration, then we are sharing that vibration. And sometimes what can happen that we say, oh, you know, maybe we are wrong or something, and we allow, and trust me, 99% from the 100%, we were always right. But, you know, just this 1% is sometimes really challenging you. But yeah,
Yes.
go by the gut feeling a lot of the time. And
Yeah, all
also
of us are feeling the same gut.
yes. That's
Don't discount that. Don't discount that. That should be, you know, your internal red flags are there for a reason. Don't trust in that.
Okay. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, let's go to the next item is the members list spreadsheet. We did this because we were getting a lot of members, and we didn't know how to keep track of them. If you have your own way of doing that, feel free to use whatever you like to use, but and when you're turning this in for your ratification checklist, I don't believe we want to see their physical address. We don't want to see their contact number. We don't want to see their full. You could just do their first name, you know, just depending on how you and your officers like to keep that. Know that any information that you sent us is kept in secret. It does not go on a call list. It's not being sold. You know, we do take people's personal information very, very seriously, and just know that that's not being sent anywhere, and it's completely 100% safeguarded to the best of our capacity as it's being sent in for ratification. But if know that you do not have to put in their physical address or their phone number. This is just how we kept track of our people, so that we could text them in case of emergency or mail them flyers, send them emails, that kind of thing. Any question on a members list? That's pretty simple. So everyone can create their own thing. Okay, public notice. I'm going to skip to the, I'm going to do the notification of certification first, because that technically does come first.
Can you share your screen, Christy?
Yes, let me find the updated notification though. I wanted to grab that one. Oh, you mean I wasn't sharing the screen when I did the member list?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Pardon me. So let me, oops. Now I'm sharing my screen. For the member list, this was just how our secretary chose to do it when we were setting up our members. And again, you need to figure out what works best for you and how you, if you already have something that you're using, there is no need for you to recreate it in what is in Assembly in a Box. Just know that we need some type of way that you're creating your member list. If you use something completely different than this, that is what we want to see, that you have a way of a member list. That's it. This does not in any way suggest that you need to recreate what you've already started into this. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Okay, great. And there are no questions on this form, I assume?
I do
or-
have one.
Yeah,
Do you have, on this list, do you have to have your seal on that too?
I don't believe we did. We didn't have ours on it.
Okay.
If you don't, I don't think, I mean, your seal's going to be on everything else, but if you do, that's great. If you don't, I don't think you're going to get points marked off
Okay.
for it. Okay, let me show you the current.
Someone suggests get you some coffee.
I need something. I'm drinking some water here. I need some tequila. Coffee. Only if you can bring it with tequila. I'm kidding. All right. So this is going to be the official notification and certification. This will be an updated document. It seemed as if the original one was a direct copy from another type of assembly group. And there were some things in there that we just didn't feel that was safe or comfortable. So we removed that and we updated this to hopefully make it a little bit easier for you to do. Now this is, somebody was asking about the public notice, those 3 documents, I believe might have been John and Nyla. So this is your first document that you want to produce. It is the official notification and certification. This is basically you telling the world that you are going to assemble. And the highlighted areas here are for your benefit. This is the items that you need to change in here to suit your state or territory or country. Now, when it comes to the countries, the internationals, countries, please note that this document may not be 100% appropriate to your country in its full capacity. You may need to change it based on some of the way that your country operates. You may have a specific declaration or declaration of rights or constitution in your country. Now, with that being said, I'll just go through the highlighted parts kind of quickly. All we're doing is trying to give you an option here. And it says, we want your assembly name in here. So for example, we would just take this out and we would say Florida de jure assembly. And then we would come down. An open public jural assembly was convened of the people, retaining also our sovereignty provided by our creator and the land called, and this is just your state or county or country name. So we would say in the land called Florida. You see how I'm doing it? Or maybe I need to increase it a little? I'm kind of taking out the highlighted area and I'm putting in this one is an option. Is it a state, a county, or a territory? So I'm going to put in, it is a state. And then this last part is the year your territory became accepted to the Union, or the year your country was formed, right? Our state happened to be formed on, it became accepted into the Union on March the 3rd, 1845. See how simple that was? And it does say a certified copy, but we're just going to take out certified. This will be an amendment. A copy, there's no need to certify it. A copy of your first meeting minutes, along with your state constitution. We suggest just your state constitution, because you could put in more things, but we just recommend your state constitution because in order for a state to come onto the Union, they wanted a constitution. So that is why we're going through this process. We elect, now you're more than welcome to also write your own constitution, but know that you need something. You might as well adopt the previous one or the most current one your state has, because we're obviously going to be amending that or writing something new, attaching our own declaration of self-governance and freedom, in the future. So what we're saying is a copy of your first meeting minutes along with your state constitution, we elect to follow, and the other founding documents, we elect to follow, okay, the state constitution we elect to follow and the other founding documents that we elect to represent our territory are attached. So all we're trying to show you here in the original one, these were just examples of things that you can attach, right? So what we may say is, this was the Florida Constitution. We attached that, and we also attached our mission statement because we liked it. And we thought that we would want to have it ratified and added as an amendment to our Constitution because it does talk about our self-governance. So we attached these two documents. Keep in mind that whatever you have here in your bullet points, it says up here, a copy of your first meeting minutes, along with the state constitution we elect to follow, and the founding documents that we elect to represent our territory are attached. And that's what you're telling us here, basically what is attached. So whatever you're going to put here in these bullet points will need to be attached in your ratification package to this document in a PDF form. A lot of people get confused in this part right here. So then you go down to the bottom, and then again, the people of Florida. And then of course you're going to want to take all of this out. And we rewrote this of Florida, a free, independent, and self-governed state, country, right, county. So we are a state. Desire to serve notice. We are notifying the public that we are going to assemble. And we are going to publicize that in all available media. And we can also post it at the post office. So you can publish it in the newspaper. You can go hang it up at the post office. You can upload it to UNN. You can do those three things. Let's see. And then again with the state name, Florida, comma, a free, independent, and self-governed state, declares status by the will of the people in Florida, a free, independent, and self-governed state. of the land. So once you get through all the highlighted areas, we're trying to give you like a multiple choice here. And that's it, you're done. And we took out the part here where it talks about revolting and being belligerent. We don't want anybody to get into trouble for that. So we took that part out. And then all you have to do, place your seal on here. This document needs to go on your website, right? Are there any questions regarding this official notification and certification in writing it? Yes, Palouse.
Yeah, maybe it's for the international meeting, because in the Netherlands we have like the name the Netherlands is also, it's like just registered like a company name. So that's also why we yeah, people know this place like the Netherlands or like Holland. What would be a good idea to put in?
Magdalena, do you want to answer? Do you want me to like answer?
You can answer, but yeah, go for.
Well, if it's so are you assembling in a territory of your country, the Netherlands?
I guess it's yeah, it's not like we have different states, yeah, province, but
Well, you can put your province in here. You can say it's a province instead of a state.
that's maybe that's
So where we put state, you may want to put province.
One thing also, what we were talking about, what is hugely important, this is the difference right now for the international level. Number one, are you allowed actually to assemble even in your state, in your country?
I guess we are.
Oh, listen, guessing is not enough. You know, and this is what we will talk about on upcoming Friday, that the number one, what you folks on the international level, you will have to figure out, are you even allowed to assemble?
Yeah, you got to look at your constitution or your rights.
Exactly.
We we can tell you how to do that. We're working with other countries who aren't allowed to assemble because they have no human rights, none.
Also,
and I gotta tell you guys, here in the United States, it's one of the reasons why we believe that we've got to hurry up and get assembled, because us doing so helps the whole house of cards fall, so we can help these other countries who are being desecrated and they have no human rights, none. Could you imagine? Could you imagine having no human rights, none?
Yeah, we have it, but it's like a declaration of human rights. But in court, you can't do anything with it, unlike in America.
Are you guys also, are you a part of EU, correct? Is Netherlands part of EU?
Yes.
I thought
Okay,
so, yeah.
so you have to watch out. Is actually, does EU has a higher laws over Netherlands? That's another things what you will have to figure out.
And we'll talk about this in
yes,
and we'll tell you where and how to post these things. We're going to show you how to change your documents, these parts of the documents, so that it keeps you safe. We don't want you guys to get in trouble.
Oh, we'll keep strong. Thanks.
You're welcome. Debbie, Illinois?
Yeah, real quick. I just, for an update, we have to hand in our constitution. So what do we say? Just updated notification certification?
Uh-huh, you can do that. That's fine.
Okay. Okay, I will yield.
I see an N with a rainbow as a picture with a hand up. You're,
Hi,
oh,
this is
Tony.
Hey, this is Norman from Oklahoma.
Oh, Norman,
Um,
okay.
Yeah, you may have mentioned it, but and I kind of missed it. What are your suggestions or thoughts regarding the timing of when you actually publish or post the notification? You know, in the development of the assembly, when's a good step? When during the process is a good time to do that?
As soon as possible. As soon as possible. If you have 5 members, go ahead and post it.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, if that's, we get assembled. Okay, so this will come first because this needs to go on your website. And then what you're going to want to do is post your public notice, which you can do in a newspaper, on the UNN, at the post office. You can literally go hang it up at the post office. You can also choose to go to the county steps or the post office steps and say it out loud. Remember, I'm sure you've all seen one of those old medieval movies where the
Town crier, that guy. Hear ye, that guy.
yeah, that guy. So, you know, that is someone serving a public notice. And that's the way that they did it back in the day with during the Magna Carta. So now you're more than welcome to do that. But you could also post it up at the post office. You can, and this is what it looks like. It's very simply written. Really, the only thing that you're going to change in here is your state name or your country name. And then the dates down here, they're at the bottom. The dates down here just reflect your 3 weeks. And all this says is that you have given notice, which is your notification of certification. This little public notice, this little ad, is referring back to your notification of certification that should be posted on your website. Now, do you see how one works with the other and what the two mean together? So then you wait you hang this up at the post office or you publish it for 3 weeks, 21 days, and then you wait 21 days. That 21-day waiting period is a rebuttal period. Anyone, well, not anyone, but if you get a rebuttal period or a rebuttal, somebody sent you a letter and says, I don't want you to assemble. There is a very specific way that you can respond to that. If that does happen to you, please send that to me directly and I'll help you through the response process. Each one is different, so there's no need for us to discuss the process now. Is there anyone with a question on this little part of the public notice? Norman, you have a question?
That would be no.
Okay. I see the chat going off.
I see the chat going off, but there.
Whoa, that's weird. Magdalena, are there any questions in the chat regarding the public notice?
Not the public notice, but about the ratification application. Somebody missed the, oh, hold on, I'm trying to get it back.
Oh, I see, Justine. Did I miss something
Yes.
on the Constitution? Did Debbie from Illinois just mean including it with your ratification application versus writing your own new Constitution? Yes, but you may elect to write your own Constitution if you want to spend the time to do that. But yes, it needs to be included with your ratification checklist. And yes, everyone needs to include your notification of certification and this public notice if you publish it on UNN, they'll wait the 3 weeks and then Vera will send you back a receipt, right? Now this part you are supposed to get notarized. So that's the only thing that we do ask that you get this part notarized. And it's one of the reasons why you can publish it on UNN, because they will in fact notarize it. If you publish it in the newspaper, you can get a certified receipt that you did in fact publish it in the newspaper. That will need to be turned in as well. All right, let's see what is the next item in the box. I'm going to skip number 9 because we're redoing, that's the old notification. The bylaws template. Oh, this is an old bylaws template, but I'll show this one anyway because it's here. Okay, the bylaws template, I will share my screen. Okay, here we go. So of course you want to return your bylaws and you want to put your seal up here. And these are just, I would highly recommend that you write your bylaws from scratch. We took all of this stuff out. We're not referring to any of this, this old stuff from other assembly where this was copied from, or another type of assembly. After the past, excuse me, 2 weeks and realizing we didn't want to rewrite history, we want to write something completely new, we are keeping it very straightforward and simple. And we decided to write how to become a member, the duties of officers, and the conduct of how you're expected to conduct yourself during a meeting and in the assembly. And we have a basic grievance. All of these things were pretty much copied from Robert's rules and also just our basic own experience. You're more than welcome to start here with this one that's already included. If anybody has examples of their bylaws they would like to share, if Madam Vice President would make another post for that in the Telegram chat for the de jure assembly, we can share, everybody could share theirs there.
Yep.
Another thing that we are doing is, this is what we are having our members sign. Our new members will sign this as when they become a member, they were going to read the bylaws and they are going to sign it and say that they understand it, and also that they do not hold us liable for anything that happens. They understand that this is a volunteerism and that there's no reason to have legal liability over us because they are in fact being a volunteer. We want to make sure that everybody is, a lot of people are concerned about legal responsibility and liability. So it's just what we chose to do. Everybody should decide for themselves. But this one does give you some really good starting points as requirements and qualifications, duties, powers, and responsibilities, primary functions, and then you can add to it what conduct is allowed. We must wear yellow shirts every Wednesday. You know, it just depends on how you plan to operate your assembly. Your bylaws must be by you and come from you. This is just an example, a starting point. You can go online and you can simply type into any search engine bylaws for an community organization, and you will get all kinds of examples that you can say, oh, I didn't think about that. Maybe I'll add that one to my set of bylaws. Any questions on the bylaws? Angela from Oklahoma.
Thank you, Christy. I just wanted to ask, so when we did our bylaws, we had delineated, you know, what what it was to become a member, and how what the terms were for officers, and those that showed an interest and passion and commitment to any post, that they would be able to become an officer of a committee or part of the assembly itself. What I wanted to know is that, are you really asking all of your members to sign this and send it back as well as the member form? Because okay, and I can understand that with your vetting process, with the infiltration you had before. However, we're so small right now. We left our bylaws amendable, and we put that into the bylaws saying that these can change at any time. However, we will post them on our website. We haven't yet, but we're about to, because we're about to post in the de facto, even though we've posted on UNN. But what I wanted to know was, it's not necessary that we do that, although that you have, meaning that it's really up to the assemblies, correct?
100%. We're choosing to do it because we feel that we want to make sure that every new member understands what they're getting themselves into, what the expectations are of the assembly. One of the things that, and here's why. We're not suggesting that anyone else do this. I'm just simply telling you what we did and why. Coming to this point, we feel like we have a duty and a responsibility to the assembly. That first and foremost of anything. We've taken that oath, we've taken that mission on for the betterment of our residents, our land, our environment, and the animals here in our state. So we want to make sure that everyone understands that right now they are volunteering to do this. And we realize this is a lot of work. But if the survival of humanity and all these things and making our own new way is that important to you the same way that it's important to us, then no one should have a problem, in our opinion. They should understand what they're getting themselves into, and they should have no problem signing on to this. And another reason why is for liability purposes. We want to make sure that no one will be coming back to us saying for legal issues or legal reasons, not that it has been threatened to us or anything, but we just would like to CYA kind of thing.
No, I agree, and I understand what you're saying. However, since we left the amendables, the bylaws amendable, the amendables bylaws, right? Yeah, I think I'm just as tired as you. I've worked all week. We want to create, some rules about becoming a member first and foremost. Secondly, when it comes down to liability, we want to incorporate that as well. However, I think we're way too small to have people sign that as well. We just need some passionate people to get in. And we can definitely use the vetting processes that you talked about. But I just wanted to say that we spent about 14 hours or more on Zoom going through our bylaws, considering all these things. And 3 people in our bylaw committee knocked it out, which means that everything is amendable, which is wonderful. So that as we progress and get bigger, we can add things as needed. And I just wanted to, I'd be happy to share the bylaws on the Telegram chat. of the assembly workshop, and let everybody know that make sure that you put a clause in your bylaws that these can change at any time, as the officers see fit for the safety of all the officers and the members. And you've got to realize that the liability issue is there. I mean, we were even to the point that we all take out a liability bond just for the de facto crap, but we're not there yet. But it's possible that they may happen.
That is the reason why, that it honestly, now that you brought it, that is really the reason why we want all of the members to sign it, with the understanding that this is volunteerism, and that because we don't have surety bonds, we don't have de facto bonds.
Oh, that's a great point, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because I was like, wait a minute, do the officers need to get surety bonds, or should we put a clause in our bylaws regarding this is totally volunteerism, and that even as a member you need to sign it, because to recognize. Yes, okay, I like that.
We've heard disputes, and I mean, we've seen some stuff, and we're like, whoa, what if that were to happen to us? You know, you don't think about it at the time when you're on a good mission, right? But you just never know what kind of personality. You don't know if you're going to get an infiltrator or a distractor who's going to come up and just wreak havoc on you and threaten you with lawsuits and then drag you into court. You know, just because they don't want you to assemble, you really have no clue, right? You're busy doing all of your assembly work, and then the next thing you know, you've got a summons showing up on your door, and you do have to address it. So this is why we think that it would be best to do it this way, because we don't have surety bonds. We are operating in the public, and people need to understand what they themselves are getting into. Yes, of course, ours are amendable. They can, everything we do can be revised. It's constantly being revised.
Right. Well, it's interesting you say that, because we certainly don't want officers or even members getting summons. And then on top of that, despite the rebuttals to the notice, we certainly wouldn't want anybody coming back and trying to sue a certain person because of libel or slander or anything like that.
Yeah.
So having the members sign this negates all of the surety bonds that would be necessary, because it shows in the bylaws that this is a volunteer only endeavor. Meaning that it makes sense, and I thank you for that. Thank you. I yield.
Go ahead, Magdalena.
You know what would be very important also to let people know on this call today, that we did actually an assembly workshop, the assembly in the box number 2. We put it also a disclaimer for that same purpose, that
Absolutely.
nobody so that people cannot come at us back and try to sue us or whatever. This is on your own, you're using for your own good. You are responsible for entire information what you're putting on the paper.
That's right. And you choose this, you use these documents at your choosing. Right, because we are not telling. This is why you keep hearing me say, this is what we did, and this is just an example only.
Correct.
Yeah,
I would
highly recommend having a clause in there, even maybe on your member form. Maybe you don't have to have it in your bylaws, maybe on your member form, that when you're signing up, you know that you're a volunteer. We're not liable for your bad attitude, or however you want to write it. Everybody's going to have to decipher that for themselves. Justine from Washington.
Thank you.
Hi there. I hope I didn't miss. So I can only see part of the screen. Did you say you were going to pop your bylaws with this verbiage you're talking about into the assembly workshop telegram?
Well,
Or,
this is the original one from Assembly in a Box.
oh, okay, yeah, we use
Yeah,
that.
you
Okay,
already
great.
have that. Yeah.
I just don't remember that part.
Well,
About,
what other people are going to share are Madam Vice President. Are you still with us? I hope you're popping out these threads as quickly as we're demanding them. She is going to make and thank you for that. She's making posts on the De Jure Assembly Workshop thread channel for others to share their bylaws if they'd like to share their bylaws for all to use. That was what you might have missed.
thank you so much. And I put my, thank you so much for creating that to your vice president there. And I just put my email in our chat here in case anybody felt like they wanted to send it to me directly. Either way, thank you.
You're welcome. Mike?
Hi, I just
Hey,
want
Mike.
to add one thing. Thanks. This is, by the way, a wonderful meeting. I'm learning so much. Thanks everyone for
Awesome.
sharing. Just one more thing on the, why potentially a surety bond might be something you might want to consider despite, the volunteer notification to any members. I mean, once you face the public, it's a different game, right? Anyone in the public could potentially, sue you for whatever reason, right? You discriminated against me, didn't fund my neighborhood or what have you. So that surety is something that I would say is more for the public. And while it may protect from maybe an infighting or someone disgruntled officer leaving and maybe want to sue the assembly, it's more for anyone potentially in the public who might want to come after one or more officers or the entire assembly. That's kind of how I envisioned it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what we're going to get, right? So I think I've seen it. I've seen some people threaten other people here, unfortunately. And I think I'm a CYA kind of person. So I think it would be good to say, everybody understand you're coming here at your own free will. You understand that you're a volunteer at this point, right? And these things can change. So, and we really don't know. And hopefully in the future, what we'd like to set up in Florida is more of a mediation type system and remove all the bar attorneys and that kind of thing. So we don't even have to worry about it. And there will be no more surety bonds or not even any need for it. But right now we just don't know. And we want to keep everyone who is dedicating their hard work and their time and their efforts to getting us assembled and bringing you these workshops, etc. They're safe. They're doing it and not having to worry about saying the wrong thing, putting out the wrong document in fear of somebody's going to turn around and sue them because they can.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, and we're going to go on to the next document. And we're almost done. So let's see. This one's very simple. It is your letterhead. All we need is, make a nice letterhead, write me a letter. Hi, there you go. That's it. It's very, very simple. We just started one for you if you didn't have one. And a piece of your letterhead would need to be attached to your ratification checklist. So if you have, if you're responding and you have all your documents, then you already have this attached to it. We just need to know that you've made one. You will be making official documents. There are no questions on that, right? Mike, did you have a question on the letterhead?
He's muted.
Yeah, if you're talking, Mike, you're muted. All right, we're going to go on. It's the letterhead. It's kind of a simple one. Okay, the next item is the grievance tracker spreadsheet. Now, this grievance is for the grievances. I'm going to lower your hand, Mike, if you, that way in case somebody else has a question. This is the redress of grievances by the members or the public. Your members can also give the grievance. Now, the reason why we did it this way when we were first starting out, as you know, part of the checklist, you have to have a place on your website so that the public can redress their grievances. Is everyone's familiar with that, or everyone knows how to do that? Now, when we get those grievances in, we track them here and we see what type of priority it's marked as a priority. What's the grievance, or what's the activity description, the name of the member who gave it, or the person in public who gave it, and what committee is it going to go to? Typically, when someone, I can tell you right now, the highest priority of grievances that are redressed by the public is end COVID and stop the vaccines, right? So what we do is we say, okay, we have your grievance, and this grievance is for health and wellness and also the law. So health and wellness gets part of it. They may make a project out of it. And then obviously it goes to the law committee because, you know, we need to write some laws around, you know, maybe not having fluoride in the water or something. How to do this, how the grievances go through the assembly in its process is on the video of how to operate and structure your assembly that we created. Madam Vice President, do you have that video link? Why don't we put it in the de jure assembly workshop? The structure video that we created without the resolution of one accord attached to it. Remember, we chopped it off.
Yep.
So we track them, and we want to see in the ratification checklist that you are tracking them as well, because the whole point of you being an assembly is hearing the public's grievances. Any questions on the redress of grievance checklist? A quest for living? You have a question?
Hi, yes, this is Barbara. I have a question. In this, when it comes for ratification, who marks completed, and the person that has the grievances, if they feel it hasn't been completed or addressed, how does that get taken care of?
Okay, so it gets marked completed once you see a change in the public.
Also, this is members.
No, it's not. No. It's this. Typically, if you have, hold on, members and by the public, right? So this is for both members, because the members are made up of the public, and maybe not everyone in the public is a member, but the members have the right to redress their grievance as well. That's probably why they become an assembly member in the first place. So we left this as by members and by the public. Now, let's say that on 2-12-2021, we don't know the priority activity description. We could say remove fluoride from city water, right? We can say that this goes to the law committee. It was by Christy, and it was assigned on 02-13-2021. And I started I started reviewing this issue. I started the review of this redress of grievance a day later. Well, we'll say 2 days later because that's Valentine's Day. They sent for review. Yasmin, are you still here?
No.
Okay. So maybe somebody in this law committee worked on it, and then it got sent back to the president or the other part of the committee so that it could get completed.
Okay, I have another question, if it's all right.
Yep.
Okay, what if the grievance is about the president and we lose the sergeant of arms?
Okay, so this, understand that there are two different types, right? This redress of grievance is by the public. Do you understand? This is what the assembly, now there is an internal grievance process, right? That you must go through to clear up those types of issues.
Well, this happened before there was a committees or before there was any of that. And also, I was understanding that to get ratified, you have to be completed on this. And so what I'm hearing from you, if I've got it right, is it's only when public has a grievance. So that it doesn't do anything if someone goes to get ratified and they have outstanding grievances that haven't been dealt with, that won't hold up their ratification.
I think you're talking about something that's off topic. And it sounds to me like you're talking about an internal assembly issue. And that is nothing to do with this form here. This redress
I wasn't aware of that.
Redress of grievances is by the public to say, we don't want fluoride in the water anymore. That you know how people come to the county board of commissioners, the board of county commissioners, and they stand at the podium and they say, stop the mask mandate, stop the COVID, stop forcing these vaccines on us. And the county commissioners are like, yeah, we don't care. Your time's up. Next, right? Is everyone here is there anyone here that has never seen that? Everyone knows what I'm talking about. People going up to the podium at their county board meeting.
Yes.
And they're standing. Okay.
Christy, may I say that this should just be about the public and that the members should be taken off because that would be internal for the assemblies.
You do, members do get to also, well, okay. Maybe this will clear it, yeah. Yeah, that might make things easier for everybody to understand. Thank you.
I think that would be, at least this shows that we're paying attention to the public that actually lists a grievance, even though they may not be members, so that we can show where the consensus is of, the people of Florida or Oklahoma.
I think that's totally perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
also, every assembly has a right to choose.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Now, I think a quest for living, what you're talking about is an internal issue. And that needs to be settled internally with your assembly. As no other assembly, state, corporation, or organization has any jurisdiction over another. So, if you have bylaws and you have a grievance process internally, how to handle issues amongst members and officers, etc., then you need to go through that process. So this is not that process, and you choose in your own assembly what officers you want. Maybe you don't need a sergeant of arms. Maybe you don't want a sergeant of arms. That's not a requirement. There's no requirement for that whatsoever to go through the ratification process. Any other questions on how to document your redress of grievances by the public? And thank you, Angela, for helping me with that. Okay. We're almost there. There's only like 3 more documents. I'm going to skip the sheriff's letter for now because it's just a template letter. And that's, if you want to send that, you can. We may be changing that, so I'm going to skip that. The committee workbook. Now, I know a lot of you have not started your committees. But all you need to do is, if you haven't started them, just make a, just make this workbook. We did this in PowerPoint because PowerPoint's super template based and very easy to use, and it's quite colorful now. So everything we do when we're having meetings, we like to share the screen so know you're not just looking at each other's heads all the time, and everybody can help. Oh, you misspelled that, or add this or do that. So we put in here what the committee stands for. We also think that it's great to see your accomplishments. So let's say that you had an issue for GMO in foods, and I put a completed little bubble in here because I think with everything that you're doing, it's great to see that you completed something. Yay, we got all the GMOs out of foods. Look how far we've come and all the things that we've accomplished. Just put your seal here, and we'd like to see your list. We have an auditor on every committee, multiple now. And again, this was just real basic. Feel free to change this. Feel free to use a completely different system or setup. This was just something that we were creating a slideshow one day, and we put this together because that's what we were working in. Use whatever you need to use to create your own. Any questions on the committee workbooks or how to document information coming out of your committees? Everybody's getting tired because people are asking less questions.
It's getting 3 hours.
I know. Okay. I know. Last document. I knew we weren't going to get there. And this is one of my favorite documents. This is the last one in the box, and then we can just have a brief general discussion. So this is an internal report from someone in the committee. Actually, the first one that we had was by Magdalena, who did an in-depth report on AI, nanotechnology, smart dust, and crypto. And all of these things she identified. And it was very important identification. It doesn't mean that you have to do it. Find your own way to do your internal report. You're going to be researching a lot of things. Fluoride in the water, mask, environmental stuff, et cetera, et cetera. This was just what worked for us. And we went ahead and gave you guys a copy of it. So of course, if we're identifying the previous structure or previous issue, we also want to make recommendations and possible solutions, cite all of your resources and who the report was by. So that's it. And if you choose to use something completely different, then feel free to do that. But this just is what we use, and it's very easy for us. plus it keeps us uniform. Any questions on an internal report for your committees?
Christy, I just want to say to you and all of your assembly members that are here on the call, kudos and applause to you for everything you're doing. And I think this internal report is amazing because it shows that at least one of the items that the assembly wants to change in their state, much less nationwide. And I think that that's important. It might behoove us to all get together, since we have this convention of states now, to maybe bring something to the forefront that all of us can do, like fluoridation of the waters, the drinking water. And I just want to say thank you, all of you. I know it's been a long night, and it's been amazing. Thank you so much for all of your efforts. And I yield.
You're welcome. And thank